Okay, so now we are live for the second show, or the just general my thoughts, boxing thoughts. So I think I deserve a round of applause for doing a second show, don't you think? Thank you. I think I'm so good I deserve another round of applause. Thank you. Okay, so we are here. The debate, of course, is about Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. A lot of people say that Floyd Mayweather has been ducking Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao thinks that Floyd is scared to fight him. Well, it's not a laughing matter, actually. It's caused a lot of problems within boxing. A lot of people want to see this fight happen. But logistically, you put these two fighters together, what does it prove? That, okay, Floyd beats Manny or Manny beats Floyd. Let's look into it. Now, a lot of people, or let's say Floyd, has insinuated that potentially Manny Pacquiao has been using PEDs. And that's the reason why he won't fight him. Now, he hasn't come out and said it out clean and said it, but that's what a lot of people in boxing believe. You can't take away what Manny Pacquiao's done in his career and what he's achieved. But along the way of being the champion that he is, the multiple weight world champion he is, he has suffered losses. He has suffered losses to Morales. He should have been beaten by Marquez, and again got knocked out by Marquez. So the fight against Timothy Bradley, to be honest, there was no way he lost the first fight to Timothy Bradley, although I predicted that he would lose the fight by a majority decision, because Bradley came to the press conference with a Bradley versus Pacquiao 2 banner. And I thought to myself, well, how many times do you see a fighter come to a press conference with a banner of Pacquiao versus Bradley 2, you being one of the fighters, not a promoter, and already knowing there's going to be a rematch? So I knew something was going to be funny that night, and it surely was funny that night. Manny Pacquiao clearly won the fight, and in the rematch, left no doubt that he won the fight. Floyd Mayweather has fought, you know, almost a who's who of boxing in the various weight categories and remained undefeated. People will say, well, in some fights he fought guys that were, for example, the one Manuel Marquez argument always comes up. Oh, well, Floyd beat Manuel Marquez, but one Manuel Marquez. But at the end of the day, Floyd didn't come in on weight. Okay. But then the argument, if you want to be non-biased and just be honest, you could say, well, Manny Pacquiao fought an Oscar De La Hoya who hadn't fought that light as a welterweight for years. In fact, Oscar De La Hoya fought all the way up at middleweight with Hopkins and was light middleweight when Floyd fought him. But then he comes down and fights Pacquiao at 142 pounds. Up to this day, or 146 pounds, up to this day, I still do not understand why Oscar De La Hoya weight drained himself to fight Manny Pacquiao so low. I don't understand. Why didn't he come in at 147 pounds, 146 pounds? Why did he come in so light? Still don't understand it. But anyway, the fight was made. Everybody wanted to see the fight. Miguel Cotto, another. Floyd fought Miguel Cotto, who wasn't weight drained. Pacquiao fought Miguel Cotto, who was weight drained. So, you know, Shane Mosley, you know, Floyd fought Shane Mosley at one point. People say, well, he fought Shane Mosley, and a lot of people thought that Shane Mosley could beat Floyd. But then the excuse afterwards is, oh, well, he was too old. But then it's acceptable for Pacquiao to fight Mosley afterwards and say, well, he's okay. And then it's even more acceptable after that for Canelo to fight Mosley and say, yeah, that fight's good as well. That's acceptable until after the fight. And then when the guy gets beat, they say, oh, well, he's over the hill anyway. Fight fans are very frivolous. So going back to my point regarding Floyd and Manny Pacquiao, let's put it this way. It doesn't make a difference. And I'm telling you that it doesn't make a difference. And I'll give you a prime example. Do you remember when everyone was talking about Canelo. Canelo was the unbeaten Mexican fighter. Everyone was talking about Canelo. Canelo, yeah. Canelo's the man to beat Floyd. Yeah, Canelo. Everything was Canelo. Canelo. Everywhere you look was Canelo. Everybody was vouching for Canelo. Canelo's the man. If Floyd must fight Canelo. If Floyd doesn't fight Canelo, he's ducking him. He shouldn't fight. He's got to fight Canelo. Canelo's the man he's got to fight. If he beats Canelo, then yeah, that's it. Floyd is the man. Canelo himself turns around and says, oh, you know what? I'll fight you. I'll even lose weight to fight you, Canelo. So I think that time, I believe Floyd was, I don't know if Floyd was Showtime or HBO, whichever one it was, it doesn't matter. There was a big talk about Floyd and Canelo, and Floyd saying, you know, I'll do this, I'll do that, as he does in his shows. And he did just that. He put on a box. He put on a boxing masterclass against Canelo. Now, listen to this. People are now saying, oh, well, you know what? When Floyd fought Canelo, Canelo wasn't old enough. Canelo wasn't mature enough. Canelo is a better fighter now than he was then. So what did that prove? Floyd beat Canelo. He beat an unbeaten, live, fresh opponent. Yeah? He was a world champion. A lot of people had him in the pound-for-pound top 10. He was a beast. Floyd beat him. What do people say about Floyd then? Well, you know, Canelo, yeah, he was all right, but he was a bit limited. But wait, he wasn't limited beforehand. Suddenly, he's become limited. Miguel Cotto, another very, very, very good fighter. Everyone's saying, yeah, Floyd's got to fight Canelo. He's got to fight Canelo. So he fights Canelo. Canelo gives him, Cotto gives him a good fight. What happens? He fights Kotto, he beats Kotto, he gets a nosebleed in it. Remember, these are the best of the best fighters around. So, like, on one hand, you're like, people are saying, oh, well, Floyd beat him. He's meant to beat him. But on the other hand, when Floyd beats him, the way he beats him, they're saying, well, you know what? Well, Kotto wasn't good enough. Well, he's either Floyd's very good or the opponents are not very good. But come on. You can't have it both ways, fight fans. And I think that in terms of Kotto, Kotto was a very good fighter, was not weight trained. And since Floyd beat him, he's gone on, moved up into another weight category and won a world title. So, and he's beaten the best middleweight out there, be it a shot middleweight in Sergio Martinez. And nobody asked Martinez to get in the ring with him to kneecaps or gone as far as I was concerned. As far as I was concerned with Sergio, he was finished. Although I believed because he was the bigger man and the stronger man as a middleweight, that would have made a difference. Well, I didn't realize that he was so shot that he had no legs to stand on. And if you've got no legs to stand on, you've got no power. Point is, Kotto's no champion. Let's go back to this thing about Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. Now, I know a lot of Pac-Man fans will turn around and say, you're being a bit biased towards Pacquiao. What does Pacquiao have? He's got speed. And I would say he's got power. When's the last time Manny Pacquiao knocked someone out? I think the last time he stopped somebody was Margarito. And then after that, there was a whole big thing about the whole PEDs, Manny. And since that time, Manny has, his body certainly looked different in the Marquez fight. And he has not been the same fighter since. You know, I don't know what's been going on since the Margarito fight. You can't say the fighters have got any better. But he hasn't stopped anybody. So his punch power has disappeared. That same Manny Pacquiao that was running through fighters like a tornado, it stopped. Had the fighters naturally got better? I wouldn't say so. So he's got speed, he's got movement. He's a busy fighter. But he has a tendency to leap in with shots, and how he got tagged and got knocked out by Marquez shows you that Manny Pacquiao will always be vulnerable against a counterpuncher. He is also very vulnerable against the straight right hand. Those are Manny Pacquiao's weaknesses. And he's aging. No way is Manny Pacquiao, like I said, the fighter he was then. Now, no chance. And as far as I'm concerned, if he's open to a straight right hand and he doesn't do well against counter punches, this is what we know. It's not why I am pretending to make up. I'm just looking for what I'm seeing in boxing, right? Then you fight the guy in Mayweather who has the best straight right hand in the business and is an excellent counter puncher and a defensive wizard. So Manny's going to have to be chasing him around the ring all night long. Bearing in mind that when Manny does come and gets ambitious, he stretches, he overreaches at times, and is open to the straight right hand. And as you saw with the Marquez fight, even when Manny was on top in that fight, he still got knocked out. Now let's turn to Floyd. Floyd doesn't knock anybody out. He just doesn't. Victor Ortiz, was unfortunate to have got caught with that 1-2, but nobody asked Victor Ortiz to turn around headbutting anybody. So when I think about this fight, and I sum it up, honestly, just being blatantly honest, if Floyd beats Manny, people say, Manny's old, Manny's not punching as hard anymore, Manny is, he'd lost to Morales and he'd lost to Marquez. So really, what is Floyd proving? If Floyd loses to Manny Pacquiao, Pac-Man fans will say, told you, Floyd was ducking Manny Pacquiao all the time. Now, if it's not the juice and it's not the drugs and it's the PEDs, then really and truly, there is no other reason not to fight Manny Pacquiao. Absolutely none. There is no excuse why not to fight Manny Pacquiao. And for Floyd's legacy, it's a fight that he has to take. And I'm afraid to say that even if he does go on and beat Manny Pacquiao, smash him to bits, if he does, or wins on a points decision, it's not going to make a jot of difference. It really isn't, my friends. It really isn't. Because after the fight is over and fight fans haven't got what they want, which is Floyd knocked out or Manny Pacquiao winning on points, and Manny is completely outboxed, what happens then? Who will be the savior to beat Floyd Mayweather then? That's the question. Because Canelo couldn't do it, Kotto couldn't do it, Marquez couldn't do it. So you're going to ask Manny Pacquiao to try and do it. Now, if Manny Pacquiao can't do it, then what? What are you going to say then? Now, I'm just saying this from trying to be as unbiased as possible. And I may come across as biased. I'm not being biased. What I'm saying is that the bottom line, it's just not going to make a difference. Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao, had it happened when it should have happened, and when should it have happened? Should it have happened when Floyd had beaten Hatton and Manny had beaten Hatton? Should the fight have happened then? Would that have been the perfect time? And so if Floyd had beaten him, then what would have happened? Or if Manny Pacquiao, what would have happened then? I don't know. But the fight has to happen. It has to happen just for the sake of, is it a super fight? Is it really a super fight? Is it really a super fight? I don't think it's a super fight, personally. I don't see why it's a super fight. Pacquiao has lost his selling ability for me. He has. And it's people clutching at straws, to be honest. I really do think it is. Because Pacquiao's not any more technically better a boxer now than one Marquez. I don't think. He may be faster, he may be a little bit more busy, but boxing brain we're talking here. And I think you need a boxing brain. I don't think you can just come out of Floyd and rush and throw a whole lot of punches. Marcus Maidana, we talk about this fight over and over again. Marcus Maidana, you know, he's reckless as they come. You know, and even in the second fight, as reckless as he was, Floyd was able to adapt. Manny Pacquiao, in his career, from what I've seen, fights only one way and can't adapt. So bringing all those things to the table, as I said, I think people are clutching at straws. And as far as I'm concerned, it's just a fight that has really very little to offer at the end. Because once I said, fight fans, wipe their lips and say, yeah, that's another fight. When's the next fight? When's Floyd going to fight again? That will be it, really. So I have to apologize yesterday because I still don't know how to use the chat on this. And if I can work out how to use the chat on this, then I'll be able to find out who's talking to me, because I still don't know how to work it out. I don't know how the chat works on this. I wish I did know. All right. Well, thank you for watching, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave your thoughts below, and I will no doubt do a video on the response to Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao. And it'd be nice to hear. I don't really talk too much about Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, but I'm just sick and tired of reading about it on my Facebook chat and in Facebook forums. It just goes on and on and on. It's just fed up about it, and I think Floyd will just fight Manny because he's just fed up, to be honest. I think that will happen. And I do actually think the fight will happen. I believe the fight will happen. Out of the two fights left, I think the two fighters will be Amir Khan and Manny Pacquiao. I really do. Okay, fight fans. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, and leave your comments. This has been BWTV, and I'm out. Take care. Thanks for watching.